Natalie, it's Prisons Week again, comes around very quickly. How are you feeling about the role of Prison Fellowship with regard to Prisons Week 2011?
We're very excited. We have a unique contribution to make. Our volunteers who, it could be you watching this, who go into prisons, bring something that nowhere else in the prison system would you find that. It's somebody who cares, who believes that the offender can turn their life around, that they can change, and our volunteer will hold that hope for the prisoner and cheer them along as they make that change on the Sycamore Tree course or through any of our other programmes.
It's been a particularly tough year for those working in prison. Prison Fellowship's not only concerned with the victim of crime and the actual prisoner, but with those who work in the prison service. How would you say this Prisons Week we can support through prayer and thought those who work in prisons?
Well, prayer is absolutely central to what we do. It's the spiritual energy which makes miracles happen. And so whilst we have our structured programmes, the real change comes because people are praying. And what we want to do is reach, there is an enormous need in prisons. There are 84,000 people in prison. We are able to reach about 3,000 or 4,000. With your help, we can reach that extra person. And that's what we want to do.
I know as Chief Executive from day one, you've had a particular concern for young people in prison. We have an enormous number of young people behind bars. What can we do in Prisons Week to really emphasise the importance of reducing that cycle of reoffending from a very early age?
Yes, you're absolutely right. We lock up more kids than any other European country, and we do it from a younger age. We've got this sad honour of having the largest children's prison. We know that reoffending rates are high, particularly for children. They reach about 70%, and we know that the need is great. 3/4 of children who are in prison will have had contact with social services, whereas in the general population it's less than 1%. So it's an incredibly needy group, and if we can turn them around at the point when they're in prison, then the cost to the taxpayer is greatly reduced because they don't have to keep paying, and the human cost in terms of a life turned around and a lifetime which would be a productive, happy, satisfying one, as opposed to one where you're in and out of jail. You know, why wouldn't you want to make that contribution?
Finally, and this is probably the most difficult thing, prison still seems so far away from most people. Yet a lot of people live near to a prison, but it's another world, it's a place that they never identify with, they never really are involved with. How can people overcome during Prisons Week that sense that prison has got nothing to do with them, that it's something that they should never touch, never be involved with?
Well, from a Christian point of view, Jesus was quite clear about that. His first proclamation was about setting the captives free, and then he says specifically, when I was in prison, when did you come and visit me? So he's thinking about all captives, but particularly those in prison. And he himself, of course, was in prison when he was waiting for trial. So from a Christian point of view, there's quite a strong mandate there to do the work. But so many of us are victims of crime as well. And as we go deep into that hurt, at the point of hurt, there's the opportunity to bring healing and restoration. And to be part of that is healing and restoring for the victim of the crime, as well as for the prisoner. So it becomes, instead of an accident, it becomes an opportunity for restoration. And the last thing is that if only bad was not part of us and we could just lock it up, but it isn't. You know, we're all made up of good and bad, and just as communities are made up of places like prisons and then churches, and it is our role to be a bridge between those two places in the way that Jesus was.